for a change.
They thought she was doing something puppy now.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to our budget meeting for March. So our wonderful finance director, Michael.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Hello.
Good,
Michael.
Good.
All right.
What kind of,
First of all, before we start, I'm going to hand this to Terry and let him pass it around.
Yeah.
This is page 15. I need to supplement that in for the 15 that we have. So it's just a chart.
Is it a replacement or?
Yeah, it's a replacement for the
Oh,
one that's in there.
somebody made a mistake.
You know, you just can't get good help these days. So, okay, we're going to start on page 1, and this is our sales and use tax. This is the tax that was collected in November, remitted to the state in December, and we received in January. The total tax was $306,810.77. Of that, $188,000 went into our general fund, $45,000 went into streets, $48,000 into parks, and $25,000 into our bond payment reserve. On the next sheet, this is just our invoice that we get from the state. The total collection was $315,000. Their service charge, then our interest earned, gets us to our $306,810.77, which is what they distributed to us. The third page is just that breakout of the 1%, quarter, and the 0.125, showing where those percentages of the tax go. Our next page, page 4, this is the breakdown of the tax that was collected in, we received in January, what it was for. 15% of it was for the food and beverage. 24% of it was for lodging, and 61% of it was for other miscellaneous businesses. So we're running, that's pretty much where we ran last year. Our percentages, they went up and down 1% or 2%, but that's right where we stayed last year in 23 as far as a breakdown on the percentages. The next several pages is just the detail that's behind that. And if you're kind of wondering, if you want to see where I mainly get those numbers, if you'll turn to page 12, down at the bottom, you'll see 7211 is travel accommodations, 7221 is our full service restaurants, 7223 is our specialty food services, 7224 is alcohol beverages, and 7225 is our restaurant and other eating places. So that's kind of the breakdown of the majority of that, kind of to see how that kind of breaks out.
What are the special food services?
Madam Clerk, special food services, do you know?
This is just how the state breaks them off. I'm not sure what the qualifications for that are.
Okay.
It could be like a convenience store or something like that, to where, Bunches has their deli stuff. It could be some of the stuff like that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
All right, on page 14, this is our comparison. For 24, we are up $6,441.90 over what we collected at the same time in 2023. The percentage out there on the end is wrong. That was was a formula error in there. The one at the bottom is correct. I'm sorry, the 2.56. So we, as of January, we're 2.56 over where we were at the same time in 2023. I have got our sales tax for February and March. What we collected for February, which would have been for December, was strong. It was higher than 2023. What we collected in March, which would have been for January, was lower than what we had collected in 2023. Overall, we're still running at a 1.63% over where we are last year. So we predicted about a 2%, so we're hovering at that. We're going back and forth, but we're hovering at that. The next page, this is your new chart. What I needed to do off the old chart was drop 2021, and now this chart picks up the 3 years of 2022, 2023, and 2024. So you'll see in January of 24, I added the purple color. I thought that would be a different color. So your green is 22, your blue is 23, and purple is for 24. So you see we're just a little bit up over what we were in 23. Next is our revenue and expenditures report. I made a few modifications to this to just kind of drill it down a little bit more and get it a little bit more information for us. This is for the month ending of January 31st, 2024, where we completed 8% of our fiscal year. We have this one little account that honestly Lonnie never reported because it's a small amount, but because it affects our final numbers, I went ahead and put it on there. This is a CD that we have that earns interest, a monthly interest, and so it's it's a checking account, a non-departmental checking account that earns some interest, so I went ahead and added that on there. Then we have all of our normal departments on there. And then if you'll go down at the bottom, I've kind of added this little bit of information because this is something that I was kind of more curious about. We stayed in overall revenue and an overall expense where we think we'll come out in 2024. We're saying a revenue of 12.9 and expenses of 12.5 with a gain of 430,000. Over to the right of that, I'm showing that for the month of January, we had revenue of 956,000, which was 7% of our budget, which is right in line where we had predicted. And our expenses were also 7% of the budget, which is right where we expected. So at this point, we have a net gain of $56,000, which is 13% of the overall gain that we had projected for the year. Yes,
Were
sir.
there any big items that were bought in January?
Of course, we're spending a lot of money in water, for the water leaks and stuff like that. We're spending a tremendous amount of our I&I money,
Sure.
That's that. So that's been our biggest expenditures. We have had some of our capital expenditures that we have spent in the first couple of months. We got which I hope whenever we get all this in, he will come and give y'all a report. But we did get the dash cams and the body cams for the police department, and Billy can't say enough about how great they are. He absolutely thinks they are fabulous, and they're working amazing. The guys love them. They feel a lot better with them on and stuff like that. So I'm really hoping that once I think he's almost got them. Mayor, doesn't he have them all done now? I think. I think at the last department head when he was mentioning, he talked about there were just a couple left that hadn't been done. But I really hope that once we get those completely in, that he can come and give y'all a report on those because those seem to be a huge success. So we've spent some of that money. There is some question, and we probably won't get into it too much here. We're going to talk. We had put some pretty big expenditures into the water department for some capital expenditures for some equipment and stuff like that. And I think we're going to go back and kind of put a second eye on that and see, do we really need those this year when we've got all of the expenses that we're having, or could we get by with what we've got and maybe push that to next year? Because when we originally did these expenses, we didn't know that we were going to have so much in this, with the leaks and the treatment plant and stuff like that. So that may be something that I bring back to y'all, pretty soon to look at. But other than that, everything else is pretty much fallen in line where we expected it. The kind of the negative you see there in the general fund capital, that's just a transfer issue. We purchased a truck, and so we need to transfer that money. So other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. The detail then is from 17 to 20 to 30, 38, I believe. Yeah, 38 for that detail. 39 is our capital expenditures, and this is a listing out of all of our capital expenditures that were approved. The only thing that we had purchased the only thing we had purchased in January was I was able to find a truck for the building department. We found a 2021 Chevy Colorado with about 10,000 miles on it for $25,000. So we purchased that. And then the rest of those are just, I know Smitty has purchased some of his things in transit. They've just been in, there'll be more in February numbers, maybe March numbers, but I know he's purchased some of those things. We did get his truck, the vehicle that he has listed. I think he went and got it this week. We cut him a check and he was going to go get it. The state finally released it. So when he gets that truck, he has a pretty new Dodge Ram, or no, that's a Dodge Ram, Dakota, I'm sorry, Dodge Dakota, that he hasn't used that much just because it was too little for him and stuff. It was one that was bought with federal money. He has contacted the state, and normally when we have one that has federal interest in it, whenever we sell it, they get a percentage of the money back. We get to keep part of it, but they get a portion of it back. We talked to him about transferring it to a different department because it's still a really good vehicle. It's just it was too small for him. So the state has agreed to that, said we can do that. We don't have to. The only time we have to give them any money back is if we sell it. So our goal is once he was able to pick this new truck up and get it into his fleet, we're going to transfer that Dakota over to the water department, and that's going to become our meter reader truck. So that's the one he's going to use to do the meter reads in. So that'll kind of be a different thing.
And where is the truck, what department is he in now?
It's in transit.
Okay, yeah.
It's in transit. The next sheet on page 40 is our comparative bank balances. We ended the year with 7.193 in the bank, and at the end of January we had 7.1. So we hadn't spent a lot of money in January, so we're keeping that pretty level. And then the next page, 42 of 46, that's just the monthly bank comparison chart. .43 just shows you the numbers where it came from that chart. 44 shows you the bank comparison where we were at in January of 23 versus January of 24. That's about the $400,000 that we spent last year. So that's where the dip in that is. The numbers on the next page of 45, you can see we ended January of 7.5 in 2023, and we got 7.1 in 2024. And then the last page is, that's our long-term debt. We have, our next payment is in April, which is going to be an interest-only payment of $8,295.74. Our big payment won't be until October 1st. One thing I'm going to add to this page, we just didn't get it in here for this month, but we're going to add to it. I want it, since this is long-term information, this is our long-term debt. If you go back to the comparative bank balances on page 40, down at the bottom of it, we have what I kind of consider our long-term investments, which are our CDs. And those are getting pretty competitive. Rates are getting up there. So I want to add a chart on there, or add to the long-term information about what our CDs and what our CDs are drawing. Currently, the first CD that's on there is not drawing a very good interest rate. It's just now maturing, so we're fixing to rebid it. The general fund CD, which is $270,000, we just put it out for bid a few weeks ago, and the APY on it is now 5.10. So we got a good APY on that one. The general fund depreciation account, that one was renewed last May, so it'll be coming up this May. It's at 5.0 APY. And then the street fund and the water meter, they actually matured at the same time as the general fund CD did. So we had a bid on those at 5.1 each too. So all of our CDs, except for the first one, are drawing over an APY of over 5% or over. So that's something I would like to kind of monitor as rates are fluctuating and everything. These CDs, when I first started in 2022, these CDs were drawing, almost less than 1%. and now we're up to 5%. So we've had a lot of fluctuation in them. The banks are getting a little bit more competitive. We did have all of our CDs at Cornerstone, but Equity outbid them on these last 3, so we moved 3 of them to Equity Bank. So now we have 2 at Cornerstone and 3 at Equity. So, and I like that. I like having a little diversity. I don't like all of our eggs being in one basket.
12-month.
12-month CDs, yeah. We put them out to bid. We send them to bid to all of the local banks. We send them out a bid form telling them, we give them, we don't have a lot of time because by the time, you've got about a 10-day window there between when your CD matures and when you have to do it. So we send them out a bid sheet. We send it to Arvest, to Cornerstone, to Equity, First National, and 1899. We send it. There's about 5 of them that we send it to. And when I first started, we were getting like 1 bank to bid, or maybe 2. This last one, we actually had 3 banks that bid on them. So we thought that was pretty good. So we're going to start monitoring that a little bit more. Cool. It's a good source of income for us. I mean, it's $800,000 at 5%, so that's pretty good.
Now, did you say a water meter savings account or
Yeah,
CD?
it's the title of it, and this is something I would actually have to research and go back and see why Lonnie titled it that way, but it's a water meter CD. So I'm not really sure why he titled it that way, but because we have our water meter deposit account, and that's money that we have to keep separate. That's water meter deposits. People put in there. We have to keep a certain percentage of those, which is a high percentage of how many deposits we have on record with us, so that should everybody come in on one day and want their deposit back, we would be able to give it to them. So it's kind of a standalone account. We can't use it for anything else. We can't use it for equipment. We can't use it for water meters, anything like that. But yeah, so, and it's got about $170,000 in it.
And we can't use it for water meters.
Yeah.
I think we did that back when Morris was mayor, and because that's when we wanted to start changing those meters before Butch got in there.
When you did the CD.
And, well, I think we had started to fund to set money back for that.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed like that's when that all fell in place.
Yeah.
It's been a long time ago.
Going forward, it might be something that we look at, if we need more money in the water department, of cashing that in. But right now it's drawing a pretty good rate for us.
Yep.
That's all I have. Y'all have any questions?
I do not.
You answered all mine.
Good. I do have some sad but good news. Mary Lee is leaving us at the front desk. She has had some family situations to where she wants to have more flexibility of going back and forth to Ohio to see her family. So we hate losing her, but we have hired somebody, and we're real excited about her. She started today. Very local person, knows Eureka really well, very, very sweet. And one of the things that she's going to do is I've restructured that front desk a little bit because that falls underneath me. So I've restructured that a little bit and took some of that stuff off of what was on the front desk that my people can handle, and we're going to let her help Jacob a little bit more, help him a little bit more with his paperwork, a little bit more with his appointments. She's going to end up having a shared calendar with him where she can help set his appointments. She can kind of know where he's at, what's going on, and kind of, help him with his paperwork and get all that kind of stuff. She will still stay at the courthouse. She will still report to me, but she's going to help him out a little bit. So we're excited about that. She's excited about that. And she loves weenie dogs.
Share everybody.
Yeah. So, awesome. Anything else?
Nope, thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Michael. All right, if there's nothing else, then we will stand adjourned until the city council meeting at 6 o'clock.